Welcome back to school in your house, and looking forward to seeing you back to school soon. And we'll get to start coming to the library to check out some books. So that always helps you become a better reader, is when you can get some of your favorites from the library and bring them home and read them once and read them twice and read them several times with your family, with your sisters and brothers. Sometimes you can even read them to your pets and look at the pictures and just enjoy books. So that is something I am really looking forward to when we can get back to something like that. Today I have a book for you that I'm reading called George Flies South. And we see that George is this little bird here, and this must be his mama. And I think sometimes birds, before it gets too cold, they fly where it's a little bit warmer so they can still find the things that they like to eat, like bugs and worms and all that. And when it warms up, then they come back to the places that they like to live in the spring and summer. So we're going to read George Flies South. This is by Simon James. Let's see. George Flies South. The leaves on the trees were turning brown, and winter was coming. Lots of birds were heading south. It was time for George to learn to fly. "Are you ready, George?" asked his mom. "Oh, not quite," said George. I might fall. "I think I like my nest best. Will you get some worms, Mom? I'll stay here." He doesn't sound like he's quite ready. He's a little bit nervous. I think he needs some confidence. While George waited, a strong gust of wind swept through the park. It tore through the branches, scattering the leaves everywhere. George's nest wobbled and lifted into the air. "Look, Mom," said George. "Look at me. I'm flying. Whee!" George's mom was too far away. She couldn't hear him calling. And when she flew back, George and his nest were gone. "George, George," she cried, "where are you?" "I'm here, Mom," called George. "I flew down in my nest." And then, without warning, George and his nest were on the move again. "Am I going south, Mom?" asked George. Look at this. He's on top of the car, and they are traveling down the road. So he is moving, even though he hasn't really left the nest yet. "Hold on," shouted his mom. "I'm coming." But George couldn't hold on, and his nest took off into the air. "Look at me, Mom. Look at me," said George. "I'm flying again." I think George is a little confused as to what flying really is. I think he is getting a little bit more brave, though. "Oh, you can't stay here, George," said his mom. "You've got to leave your nest. Try to flap your wings." George tried. "Try harder." "What are we going to do, Mom?" There he is. This is a ship a big barge carrying things going down the river. Finally, the boat stopped. George was lifted up, up, up into the air. "Don't move, George," said his mom. George looked down. He was glad he still had his nest. "Don't worry," said his mom. "We'll try again tomorrow." George curled up and fell fast asleep. I think he feels as long as he has his nest that he's pretty secure. The next morning, George woke with a start. "Look out, George!" shouted his mom. Oh, what did he see? Sometimes we have to watch out if we are a little thing on the ground. Crack! The cat landed, and George's nest began to fall. "Don't worry, Mom, I'm all right," shouted George. So he did land on something, I see. But down, down, down he fell. Twig by twig, the nest fell apart until only George was left. "Mom!" cried George, "I've lost my nest." "George, you have to flap your wings," shouted his mom. "Now, it's time." George tried really hard. "You can do it," said his mom. "I'm trying," said George. And with a deep breath and a huge beat of his wings, George flew. Oh, just in time. "I knew you could do it, George," said his mom. "I'm ready to fly south now," said George. "Let's go. I hope there's lots of worms." And there they can join the other birds flying south where it's a little bit warmer for them. He went through quite an adventure wanting to stay in his nest and not leave that safe and secure place. His mom was with him the whole way, trying to encourage him to get his courage together and leave the nest. Finally, he really didn't have much of a choice, did he? His nest left him. Whew! I like that story. Can kind of remind you of things that you've tried to do before and maybe you were a little nervous about it. Your parents were encouraging you. You didn't quite think maybe you couldn't quite take off the training wheels. Or maybe you just couldn't quite leave the railing off your bed. And then one time you just decided, I think I'm ready. I can do this. So as you grow, you'll just get more comfortable with doing things, and that's a part of growing up. Good to read again to you, and I can't wait to see you. Be safe, be nice to your family, and I hope you can read some good books this week. Bye-bye.